Today on Commander Replay, it's Arixmethes vs Riku, Avacyn, and Ludevic. Find out what happens when you give the Simic deck extra lands and extra card draw. Next on Commander Replay. I just want to take a quick second to say thank you to all of my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Just to let you guys know, I do have a Twitter page now, so feel free to check me out on Twitter at Commander Replay. Alright, welcome back everyone. Playing some Arixmethes Slumbering Isle today. Looking at our opening hand, we've got a one-lander. We're gonna mulligan that. That doesn't look like anywhere where we want to be, so mulligan. And that looks a little better. We got some lands. Trigon Predator is super annoying for our opponents. Got some ramp in this Thran Dynamo. Could use some card draw, but I think it's keepable. There's a decent amount of it in the deck, so we should draw into something sooner or later. Also, there's a Ludevic Necro Alchemist out, so that could help us get a few extra cards. We draw into an Engulf the Shores. Not helpful right now, but probably eventually. Play this command tower, and we will pass turn. Ooh, a Veteran Explorer for the Riku opponent. That could help us out. Our deck likes lands. Elixir of Immortality coming down for the Avacyn opponent. So yes, we're playing more Arixmethes today, and we're playing more Sea Creature Tribal. Ooh, there's a Kami of the Crescent Moon. Nice. So, Kami of the Crescent Moon will trigger. We'll get an extra draw. There's a Kiora's Follower. That's a cool one. So, play this Forest. Play the Kiora's Follower. And when we get that Thran Dynamo down, that's going to be a lot of colorless mana. Veteran Explorer going to swing into the Kami. We'll see if they block. Yep, they're going to block, so we're all going to be getting some lands. Unfortunately, this happens the turn right after us. Opponents will get to untap first with their additional lands. Not the most ideal. So, use the ability. Get an island and a forest. It does leave up Reality Shift, just in case something should happen. New Frontiers. Each player may search their library for up to X basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then each player shuffles their library. Oh, we're going to have a lot of mana when we come back to our turn. Like I said, though, opponent's going to get to untap before us, and that's a little scary. Go for 2 blues and a green right here. We do have more blue cards in hand currently. Soul Ring for the Avacyn opponent. A Johnny's Welcome. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Interesting. Probably a token deck, if they're doing that. Play an Archangel of Tithes. Interesting. So our opponents, by the way. First up, we have Riku of 2 Reflections, a commander that I used to have and pulled apart within the last year or so. Riku basically says, if you cast a creature, pay blue and a green, copy it. If you cast a spell, pay blue and a red, copy it. It's sort of like take any game action and double it. It's a little bit slow at 5 mana, but if it sticks in play and opponent untaps with a bunch of mana, they can do some really crazy stuff with the deck. So something we'll need to be careful of. Little bit sluggish in the early game, but they're playing tons and tons of mana ramp with the New Frontiers and Veteran Explorer, almost like a group hug kind of thing. But I'm sure that deck is going to have huge things that it can do at the top end, which is kind of scary. Rhystic Study coming down for the Ludevic opponent. Our second opponent is an Avacyn Guardian Angel. This is actually a deck that I used to have in paper as well, and I may actually put back together for tonight. We'll see. It's surprisingly strong. The fact that you can get a 5 mana 5/4 with Flying and Vigilance onto the battlefield around turn 3 or turn 4 fairly consistently is actually really powerful. Like, you just get it down there and start swinging away, and you can attack and you can block. So people just start taking 5 in the air. You can get a lot of damage in through those early and mid turns of the game. It can solve that problem of sometimes you get to turn 8 and the combo deck is still at 40 life and like no one can get rid of them. Avacyn is pretty good about that sort of thing. Ooh, nasty. There's an exhaustion on the Riku of 2 Reflections. That is a nasty card. But yeah, with Avacyn, it's surprisingly good. People underrate it quite a bit. Its activated abilities, I've tried building around them. They're not really a thing that you want to build around. They're more of a nice to have later in the game. If you have a lot of open mana and you see a big army on board, you may want to look at using it, but it's not really the type of thing that you want to focus the entire deck around. I would say probably more of a Voltron style build is where you want to be. And probably using like a lot of removal and protection, things like that. That's what I think the best build of Avacyn Guardian Angel is going to look like. Something that I do want to experiment with just a bit more. But yeah, it is a really cool commander. That'll bring it back to our turn. We draw into a Sylvan Library and a Garruk Wildspeaker. That gives us a lot of options. So let's play this Forest. I think we're gonna play the Arixmethes. That seems like a good plan. Arixmethes into play. I guess we just let them draw with the Rhystic Study. Don't know what our mana usage is going to look like right here, especially with all the untapping. If we can, we'll try to get the Trigon Predator into play this turn, so we can get rid of that Rhystic Study. Oh, Arixmethes comes in tapped. Well, we can still use Cura's Follower to untap it. Yeah, let's do that. Untap the Arixmethes. Play the Thran Dynamo. Not gonna pay for the study. Remove a counter from Arixmethes. Get the Garrick Wild Speaker. Use Garrick's ability. Untap Arixmethes and Command Tower. So our choices are Sylvan Library, Chasm Skulker, or Trigon Predator. I think we're gonna go for the Trigon Predator right here. Try to get rid of that Rhystic Study as soon as we can. And with our last remaining mana, we will pay for it. So not a bad little turn out of us. We're set up very well for next turn. In all likelihood, we should be able to get Arixmethes into creature form. Opponent's going to play a Voyage's End, return target creature to its owner's hand. They bounce our Trigon Predator. Yeah, that's annoying. Riku's turn, they do not untap thanks to that exhaustion. They play a land, and looks like they're probably going to have to pass from there. Yep, so that makes it Avacyn's turn now. Ooh, the Immortal Sun, we can no longer activate our Garrick. That's a little bit annoying. Another reason to get that Trigon Predator back to play. And Archangel of Tithes coming in. Did that get bounced? Oh yeah, opponent got it with the snap a few turns ago. I missed that while I was talking. So Archangel of Tithes back to play. And Ludevic's turn, they get an extra draw with the Kami. Relic of Progenitus, sure. Brainstorm. Whirlpool Warrior. Enters the battlefield, shuffle the cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. Okay, so they wield. Pay a red. Each player shuffles the cards from their hands into their library, then draws that many cards. So it's a wheel on a stick. That's scary. I actually like the cards in our hand a lot. I would prefer that they don't wheel right here. I'm guessing this is like an Owling Mine sort of win condition. Looks like it's going to be something like Blue-Red Nekusar, is what I'm guessing. There's a Vidalcan Ori. Yup. That's scary. If we can get this Chasm Skulker in before they wheel, that'd be ideal. There's a Tatiova and a Forest. Let's get this Rogue's Passage down. That's a good one to have. Let's go for the Chasm Skulker. Actually, no. Let's go for that one last. I'm going to go Sylvan Library. All the stuff triggers. We have enough to pay for it. I want to get Trigon Predator into play, and I want to get Chasm Skulker into play. Opponent's got 4 cards in hand. Yeah, we should probably pay. Let's get the Trigon Predator. Arixmethes, now a creature. Then finally we'll play the Chasm Skulker. This one we can't pay for. Then we untap our Thran Dynamo with the follower. Then we use the Rogue's Passage on our commander. And then we send 12 over to the blue-red player. That is 12 commander damage to the face. They go down to 28. Riku of 2 Reflections coming into play. That'll trigger the Rhystic Study. Opponent draws a card. There's a Sakura Tribe Elder. And gets a Riku trigger. Gonna copy it with the Riku. Yup. It's pretty good. The thing I'm worried about now is this Vidalcan Orrery, because now opponent can just hold up all their mana on their turn. They've got 7 cards in hand. They can wheel if they need to, so they can look at 7 more cards. By the time it gets back to the turn, probably even more than that. It's all very scary. Interesting, when the Immortal Sun's down, Garrick says, blocked by the Immortal Sun. Don't think I've ever had that come up before. Baird coming down for the Avacyn. So looks like a Pillow Fort kind of deck. They have a Wall of Essence in play. Yeah, looks like just kind of Pillow Fort up, and I'd get Avacyn down and start swinging, personally. Opponent's going to use the Relic of Progenitus one time on the Riku. Wash out! Return all permanents of the color of your choice to their hands. Gross. Would love to have a counter spell for that. Yep, opponent gets most of our stuff. They choose green. Opponent's going to unsubstantiate our Chasm Skulker. Awesome. Opponent's going to Fog Bank. Even better. Opponent's going to cycle the hands. Yep. Love to see some counterspell action or something. There's a Pact of Negation. That helps a little. Inkwell Leviathan, Kiora, Thassa, Scavenger. Alright, we got some stuff. Reality Shift comes back. We draw a Zendikar Resurgent. Sweet. Let's play the Scavenger Grounds, actually. Try to get the Zendikar Resurgent into play. Go Zendikar Resurgent. Not gonna pay right here. So Zendikar Resurgent lands. If opponent had a counter, they would probably try it right there. We still can't activate our Planeswalker, so we'll want to skip that. Thassa's pretty cool. What are we going for? Kind of want of Urban Evolution, but that sort of takes a lot of mana. Let's get Arixmethes back in. I feel like anything we do is going to involve that. We paying for the Rhystic Study right here. What else do we got left? So we have 2 in our pool. We'll have 6 total. Kind of want to get Thassa down, and I want to get Farseek into play. We can pay for 1. Oh, and we get to draw a card. Cool. It's a thing in the ice. I'm not too worried about the creatures that the Ludevic opponent has yet. Let's get Thassa. Can't pay for the study right here. There's a mana drain. I'm actually going to leave that mana drain up. remove a counter, and I think we're gonna pass the turn like that. We will have to do some discarding. Makes me sad. Discard a land. Don't feel like we need Inkwell Leviathan at this exact second. There's other big stuff in the deck, so I think we can live without it. Thing in the Ice is cool. There's a lot of white stuff floating around right now. Rush of Knowledge is cool. Kiora, not so helpful with the Immortal Sun sticking around. 1 to go. Probably the Farseek. Opponent says they're playing Mill. Interesting. Haven't seen any Mill spells yet. Seen a lot of control. Prosperity. Each player draws X cards, where X is 11. Guess we're gonna let it happen. The reason to counter this would be that we have the advantage with Zendikar Resurgent and Rush of Knowledge. Like, we can draw way more cards than our opponents can. Also, the Kami's still in play. But everyone has so many cards anyway that, I don't know. I know I should counter this. That is a thing that I should do. But do we catch no max hand size? We do not. More counters, though. Got a Swan Song. Make sure there's a Thought Vessel in this deck. We do have Thought Vessel. We do have Reliquary Tower. Would like to find one of those. Opponent gets to draw an additional card with the Immortal Sun, so the white player actually drawing a lot. White player's got 18 cards in hand. Thespian Sage gonna copy something. What's it copying? Copies, a Reliquary Tower. I would love to get myself a Reliquary Tower. So Riku and Avacyn both have Reliquary Towers, so they're gonna get to keep all the cards in their hand. Seems pretty good. Opponent's gonna Field of Ruin on the other Reliquary Tower. Sure, that'll give us a land. Grab an island right here. So we've now have another island into play untapped. That's something. Can reality shift something if we need to. Benelish Marshal for the Avacyn opponent. Rhystic Study continuing to trigger. So Benelish Marshal in. Kind of a wild game with Riku sort of doing the group hug thing. Don't really want to know what they have in the top end of their deck, but our deck has a lot of top end too, with all of our big creatures, bounce spells, and things like that. 11 mana from the Avacyn opponent. What do they got? There's a Thaumatic Compass. That'll flip over. Ooh. Thaumatic Compass going to be good against our commander. That's a Helm of the Host. Multiple Archangel of Tithes could be interesting. We have this Thing in the Ice, so I'm not like too worried about creatures right now. Gonna put Helm of the Host on the Archangel of Tithes, sure. Mirage Mirror, that's another good one. I gotta start using that card more. Saw opponents doing some crazy things with Mirage Mirror the other day. This is about one of the craziest turn 5s I've ever seen in a game. Everyone's got like 10 or more lands. Bunch of stuff in play. Except the Riku. They've been on the wrong end of some stuff. Opponent's going to combat. Helm of the Host will trigger. Triggers the Ajani's Welcome. No attacks from the opponent. Bro, you have like a crazy board state. You got to be attacking people. Especially, there are 3 blue players at the table. Like, we're just going to bounce all of your stuff. That's a thing that will happen. There's a Dictator Crufix. Oh boy. When you have damage available, you should almost always get it in. There's like almost no reason not to. The only time that you probably wouldn't is when you get into a someone's really far ahead and all 3 of you need to work together kind of situation. But this isn't that. The white opponent has a bunch of stuff they should be attacking. So Thaumatic Compass is going to flip over for our opponent. Yep, that's going to cause some headaches for us. Opponent's going to play a Sphinx's Tutelage. Whenever you draw a card... Ooh. They're probably actually going to be drawing a lot of cards. Yeah, I think we're going to Swan Song on the Tutelage. It's going to trigger a bunch of stuff. Remove the counter. Pay for the Rhystic Study. Opponent's going to play a Psychic Corrosion. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. That also seems a little bit too good. I was hoping to get something bigger with the Mana Drain, but looks like it's going to be this. Pull another counter off of Arixmethes. Opponent's going to try and return our Zendikar Resurgent. We're going to try and Pact of Negate that. Pull another counter off. Interesting that opponent's doing all this during their main phase, with Vidalcan Orrery down. Yep, opponent's got another bounce spell. Yep, so this one's finally going to land. Opponent puts a Runeborn Hellkite into their graveyard. Don't have the mana for it currently, that's good. Wheel of Fate, Fevered Visions. If those are the cards they're discarding, I wonder what they're keeping. Especially the Wheel of Fate. Oh, crap, we do need to pay for the Pact of Negation. We'll get to Scry 1. It's a Prime Speaker Zagana. Don't think we need that. We have Garrick. We have a bunch of other card draw already. Put that to the bottom. Really want to find like a Reliquary Tower or a Thought Vessel. Pact of Negation time. We should probably pay for that. We draw into a Simic Sky Swallower. We draw into a Whelming Wave. And with the Dictate, we will draw into a Kodama's Reach. Then Mana Drain will trigger. No counterspells. Would have preferred one. Let's get the Homeward Path into play just in case. I think, yeah, let's try to get the Zendikar Resurgent back to play.
No, not going to pay the 1. Remove the last counter from Arixmethes. It is now a creature. Let's see if anyone plans on shooting it right here. Oh, opponent's going to Whelming Wave. Awesome. Well, this one happens to be a Kraken, so we are fine. Opponent said they had the game won easy. I don't think they did.
That's it. I'll take you on right now.
Very well. But you see, I have the will of the warrior. Therefore, the battle is already over. The winner? Me! Ha ha! Rematch! You lose again!
That being the case, we will swing into the Riku opponent, since opponent does have the Spires down. Nope, opponent's going to Spires it anyway. Bummer. Maybe feeling like they don't have the tools to deal with the threat of sea creatures. Let's go for the Soul's Majesty right here. Feel pretty good about this getting through. Opponent's going to Swan Song our Soul's Majesty. Okay. Let's get the Soul Ring. We already played a land this turn, so Reliquary Tower's not going to do it. Has to be Thought Vessel. Get Garrick. Oh, still can't activate Garrick. Ah, sad face. We are probably going to be discarding. So with that, I guess we play Kodama's Reach. Get a land into play. We get the Thing in the Ice down. Draw into Garrick Wildspeaker. And we've got a discard. Let's get rid of the breeding pools. Get rid of the forest. Let's get rid of this forest. Leaves us with 3 cards to go. Garrick Wildspeaker still not doing much for us. Quest for Ula's Temple is going to be really slow. It's already kind of late in this game. And 1 to go. Tromokratis, seems fine. I think we can live without it. Here's a Field of Ruin for our opponent. Let's see if they shoot the Reliquary Tower of the Avacyn. They do. Nice. So Avacyn gonna have to try and play as many cards as they can. We get to search for a land. We will put a island into play. Leave up Reality Shift as needed. Opponent says, I suppose I deserve that. Opponent's gonna Beast Within the Immortal Sun. That's gonna turn the Planeswalkers back on. That seems good. Kind of wish I didn't discard the Garrick Wildspeaker now. But there was no way to know that was coming. The Immortal Sun had done a really good job at just staying in play, unimpeded up to that point. So opponent's gonna Chaos Warp on the Helm of the Host. Ooh. Riku's going after the Avacyn. Riku really didn't like having to discard a few turns ago. We should be able to capitalize on it. Ooh, that's a time reversal. Each player shuffles their hand and their graveyard into the library, then draws 7 cards. Yeah, that's probably fine. We get a Rush of Knowledge, Riskar's Expertise, Engulf the Shores, Pongify, and a Rampant Growth. The good news is that means, like, with all this card draw we have in hand, we can draw back into some counter spells, and now that everything's been recycled with the time reversal. Protection of Hekma coming down for opponent. If a source an opponent controls would deal damage to you, prevent 1 of that damage. Interesting. You want to know a card I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for the card that is the white half of Gisela, the damage prevention ability. They haven't printed that card yet. The red half obviously shows up on a bunch of red enchantments, but yeah, they haven't printed the white half yet. I think that would be like very reasonable at like a 5-mana white enchantment. Oh, and opponent just scoops it. So, looks like we're going to have ourselves a little battle. We get to scry 1 with the Thassa. It's a Mana Crypt. We will keep the Mana Crypt. Draw the Mana Crypt. Play the Mana Crypt. Arixmethes will trigger. Let's play the Riskar's Expertise. See what we get. Thing in the Ice will trigger. Arixmethes will trigger. There's that Thought Vessel we were looking for. Reclamation Sage. What does that get rid of? It's rid of Mirage. Ooh, gets rid of a Sphere of Safety. That's a thing. We could Rush of Knowledge. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just go ridiculous right here. This has already been a ridiculous game, so... cast the Rush of Knowledge. That'll get a 7 from the other thing. Thing in the Ice will trigger. Probably going to have to Pongify the Thing in the Ice so we don't bounce our commander. Go ahead and do that right now. Thing in the Ice down. Don't want to bounce our commander. Gonna Rush of Knowledge. Draw a bunch more stuff. Going to Garrick Primal Hunter. Draw even more stuff. There's a counterspell. Cyclonic Rift. All good news. No Reliquary Tower. Was looking for that one. Reliquary Tower a little bit safer than Thought Vessel, but we'll play the Thought Vessel. We have 34 cards in hand. Let's get this Rex Sage down. Shoot the Sphere of Safety. I wish we had this Chasm Skulker down while we drew all those cards. That would have been fun. Let's play this Lorthos. There's one we don't get to use so much. Let's get Nylea. That seems pretty good for now. We'll just go to combat like that. Opponent's going to gain some life when we attack. Nice. We do have Trample. Opponent's going to Aspires our commander, obviously. Yep, nothing for that. Opponent's going to Mass Calcify. Yep, we're going to counter that. The old counter spell. Probably could have Mana Drained that one. This is a 7-mana spell. Opponent's going to Mirage Mirror or something. What are they going for? Going for our Lorthos. We have removal spell still, right? We have Cyclonic Rift. Prefer not to use that one. Yeah, we have Reality Shift. Opponent does not have 8 mana, though. So, having a friendly exchange with our opponent, they scoop the game, they see what's coming. We were able to counter their big play right there. Yeah, giving the blue and green deck extra cards and extra lands is probably not a good idea. Since that's what we're trying to do anyway. Basically, our opponents are doing what our deck wants to do for us, and then it's just a matter of playing some stuff, playing some creatures. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this game. Kind of a strange game with all the group hug going on, but Arixmethes' Slumbering Isle. And as always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.